Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 11, Chapter 23, Text 54. Karmastu hetuhu sukha dukkhayoschet kimatmanastadhi jaga jadajadatve tahastachit purushoham saparnaha krudyeta kasmai nahi karma moolam. Translation. If we assume that fruitive work is the cause of happiness and distress, we still are not dealing with the soul. The idea of material work arises when there is a spiritual actor who is conscious and a material body that undergoes the transformation of happiness and distress as a reaction to such work. Since the body has no life, it cannot be the actual recipient of happiness and distress, nor can the soul, who is ultimately completely spiritual and aloof from the material body. Since karma thus has no ultimate basis in either the body or the soul, at whom can one become angry? Purport. The material body is composed of earth, water, fire, and air, just like bricks, stones, and other objects. Our consciousness, falsely observed in the body, experiences happiness and distress, and fruitive work, karma, is performed when we falsely consider ourselves to be the enjoyers of the material world. False ego is thus the illusory combination within our minds of the self and the body, which are actually the two separate objects. Since karma or material work is based on illusory consciousness, these activities are also illusory and have no factual basis in either the body or the soul. When a conditioned soul falsely considers himself to be the body and consequently the enjoyer of the material body, he tries to find pleasure in illicit connection with women. Such sinful activity is based on his false concept of being the body and thus the enjoyer of women and the world. Since he is not the body, his activity of enjoying a woman does not actually exist. There is merely the interaction of two machines, namely the two bodies, and the interaction of the illusory consciousness of men and women. The sensation of illicit sex occurs within the material body and is falsely assimilated by the false ego as its own experience. Thus the miserable or pleasurable reactions of karma ultimately act upon the false ego and not upon the body, which is composed of dull matter, nor upon the soul, which has nothing to do with matter. False ego is the illusory concoction of the mind. It is specifically this false ego that is suffering happiness and distress. The soul cannot become angry at others, since he is not personally enjoying or suffering. Rather, the false ego is doing this. Text 55. Kalastu hetuhu sukha dukkhayoschet kimatmanastatra yatat atmakosau nagnedhi tapo nahimasya tatsyat krutyeta kasmai na parasya dvandvam. Translation. If we accept time as the cause of happiness and distress, that experience still cannot apply to the spirit soul. Since time is a manifestation of the Lord's spiritual potency, and the living entities are also expansions of the Lord's spiritual potency, manifesting through time, certainly fire does not burn its own flames or sparks, nor does the cold harm its own snowflakes or hail. In fact, the spirit soul is transcendental and beyond the experience of material happiness and distress, at whom therefore should one become angry. Purport. The material body is dull matter and does not experience happiness, distress, or anything else. Because the spirit soul is completely transcendental, he should fix his consciousness on the transcendental Lord, who is beyond material happiness and distress. It is only when transcendental consciousness falsely identifies with dull matter that the living entity imagines he is enjoying and suffering in the material world. This illusory identification of consciousness with matter is called false ego and is the cause of material existence. 3. Text 56. Na kenachit kvapi kathan chanasya dvandvo paragaha parataha parasya yathaha maha samrishti rupinaha syat evam prabhutto na bipyati bhutaihi. Translation: the false ego gives shape to illusory material existence and thus experiences material happiness and distress. The spirit soul, however, is transcendental to material nature. It can never actually be affected by material happiness and distress, by any place, under any circumstance, or by the agency of any person. A person who understands this has nothing whatsoever to fear from the material creation. The false ego gives shape to illusory material existence and thus experiences material happiness and distress. The spirit soul, however, is transcendental to material nature. He can never actually be affected by material happiness and distress, in any place, under any circumstance, or by the agency of any person. A person who understands this has nothing whatsoever to fear from the material creation. Purport: a Brāhmana has refuted 6 specific explanations of the happiness and distress of the living entity, and now he refutes any other explanation that might be given. On the basis of false ego, the bodily covering factually overwhelms the spirit soul, and thus one falsely enjoys and suffers that which has no real relationship with oneself. One who can understand the sublime teaching of the Brāhmana spoken by the Lord to Uddhava will never again suffer the terrible anxiety of fear within the material world. Text 57. Etam sa ashtaya paratmanishtam adyashitam purvatamair maharshibihi aham tarishyami duranta param tamo mukundan gri nishevayaiva. Translation: I shall cross over the insurmountable ocean of nescience by being firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of Krishna. This was approved by the previous acharyas who were fixed in firm devotion to the Lord, Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I shall cross over the insurmountable ocean of nescience by being firmly fixed in the service of the lotus feet of Krishna. This was approved by the previous acharyas who were fixed in firm devotion to the Lord, Paramatma, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Purport: this verse is quoted by Krishnadas Kaviraja in his Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 3.6. Srila Prabhupada comments as follows. In connection with this verse, which is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that of the 64 items required for rendering devotional service, acceptance of the symbolic marks of sannyāsa is a regulative principle. If one accepts the sannyāsa order, his main business is to devote his life completely to the service of Mukunda Krishna. If one does not completely devote his mind and body to the service of the Lord, he does not actually become a sannyāsī. It is not simply a matter of changing dress. In Bhagavad-gīta, it is also stated, Anarshitaha karma phalam karyam karma karoti aha sasannyasi cha yogi cha. One who works devotedly for the satisfaction of Krishna is a sannyāsī. The dress is not sannyāsa, but the attitude of service to Krishna is. The word paratma nishta means being a devotee of Lord Krishna. Paratma, the Supreme Person, is Krishna. Ishvaraha paramaha Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. Those who are completely dedicated to the lotus feet of Krishna in service are actually sannyāsīs. As a matter of formality, the devotee accepts the sannyasa dress as previous acharyas did. He also accepts the 3 dandas. Later, Vishnu Swami considered that accepting the dress of a tridaṇḍi was paratma nishta. Therefore, sincere devotees add another danda, the jiva danda, to the 3 existing dandas. The Vaishnava sannyasi is known as a tridaṇḍi-sannyāsa. The Mayavadi sannyasi accept only 1 danda, not understanding the purpose of tridanda. Later, many persons in the community of Shiva Swami gave up the Atmanishta devotion service of the Lord and followed the path of Shankaracharya. Instead of accepting 108 names, those in the Shiva Swami Sampradaya follow the path of Shankaracharya and accept the 10 names of sannyasa. Although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the then existing order of sannyasa, namely Ekadanda, he still recited the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam about the tridaṇḍi-sannyāsa accepted by the Brāhmaṇa of Avantī. Indirectly, he declared that within that Ekadanda, one danda, four dandas existed as one. Accepting Ekadanda-sannyāsa without Paratma Nishtha devotional service to Lord Krishna is not acceptable through Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In addition, according to the exact regulated principles, one should add the Jiva Danda to the Tridanda. These four dandas, bound together as one, are symbolic of unalloyed devotional service to the Lord. Because the Ekadandi-sannyasis of the Mayavada school are not devoted to the service of Krishna, they try to merge into the Brahmana effulgence, which is a marginal position between material and spiritual existence. They accept this personal position as liberation. Mayavadi sannyasis, not knowing that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a Tridandi, think of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as an Ekadandi sannyasi. This is due to their vivarta, bewilderment. In Srimad Bhagavatam, there is no such thing as Ekadandi sannyasi. Indeed, the Tridandi sannyasi is accepted as the symbolic representation of the sannyasa order. By citing this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the sannyasa order recommended in Srimad Bhagavatam. The Mayavadi sannyasis who are enamored of the external energy of the Lord cannot understand the mind of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. To date, all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu following in his footsteps accept the sannyasa order and keep the sacred thread and tuft of unshaved hair. The Ekadandi sannyasis of the Mayavadi school give up the sacred thread and do not keep any tuft of hair. Therefore, they are unable to understand the purport of tridaṇḍi-sannyāsa, and as such they are not inclined to dedicate their lives to the service of Mukunda. They simply think of merging into the existence of Brahman because of their disgust with the material existence. The acharyas who advocate the Daiva Varnashrama, the social order of Chatur Varnam mentioned in Bhagavad-gīta, do not accept the proposition of Asura Varnashrama, which maintains that the social order of Varna is indicated by birth. The most intimate devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, namely Gadadhar Pandit, accepted the Tridaṇḍi-sannyāsa and also accepted Madhava Upadhyaya as his Tridaṇḍi-sannyāsa disciple. It is said that from this Madhvacharya, the sampradaya known in western India as the Vallabhacharya sampradaya has begun. Srila Gopala Bhatta Vasu, who is known as a Smritacharya in the Gaudiya Vaishnava sampradaya, later accepted the Tridaṇḍi-sannyāsa order from Dandipada Prabodhananda Saraswati. Although acceptance of Tridaṇḍi-sannyāsa is not distinctly mentioned in the Gaudiya Vaishnava literature, the first verse of Srila Rupa Goswami's Upadeshamrita advocates that one should accept the Tridaṇḍi-sannyāsa order by controlling the six forces. Vacho vegam manasah krodha vegam jihva veda udaro pashta vegam etan vegan yo vishaheta dhiraha sarvam apimam prithivim sa shishyat. One who can control the forces of speech, mind, anger, belly, tongue, and genitals is known as a Goswami and is competent to accept disciples all over the world. The followers of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu never accepted the Mayavadi order of sannyas, and for this they cannot be blamed. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted Sridhara Swami, who was a Tridaṇḍi sannyasi, but the Mayavadi sannyasis, not understanding Sridhara Swami, sometimes think that Sridhara Swami belonged to the Mayavadi Ekadanda sannyasa community. Actually, this was not the case. Text 58. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Nirvidya Nashtadravine Gataklamaha Pravrajagam Paryatamana Itam Nirakrito Sadbhirapi Swadharmad Akampito Mumunir Ahagatam. Translation. Lord Shri Krishna said, thus becoming detached upon the laws of his property, The sage gave up his moroseness. He left home taking sannyāsa and began to travel about the earth. Even when insulted by foolish rascals, he remained unswerved from his duty and chanted this song, purport. Those becoming free from the materialistic way of life, which involves grueling austerities performed to acquire money, may chant the preceding song of the Vaishnava sannyāsī. Srila Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur states that if one is not capable of listening to the song of this sannyāsī, then one will certainly remain an obedient servant of material illusion. Text 59. Sukha dukkha prado nanyaha purushashyatma vipramaha mitro dashinari pavaha samsarastamasaha kritaha. Translation. No other force besides his own mental confusion makes the soul experience happiness and distress. His perception of friends, neutral parties, and enemies, and the whole material life he builds around this perception are simply created out of ignorance. Purport. Everyone is working hard to please their friends, defeat their enemies, and maintain the status quo with neutral parties. These relations are certainly based on the material body and do not exist beyond the body's inevitable demise. They are called ignorance or material illusion. Text 60. Tasmat sarvatmana tata tata nigrahana manodhya mayi aveshitaya yukta tavan yoga sangraha. Translation. My dear Uddhava, fixing your intelligence on me, you should thus completely control the mind. This is the essence of the science of yoga. Text 61. Yaetan Bhikṣu-gītam Brāhmanishtam samahitaha Dāryan Chravāyan Chirnvan Dvandvairnaivabhi Bhūyate. Translation. Anyone who listens to or recites to others this song of the sannyāsī, which presents scientific knowledge of the Absolute, and who thus meditates upon it with full attention, will never again be overwhelmed by the dualities of material happiness and distress. Purport. The Vaishnava sannyāsi took shelter of the devotion and service of the Lord, and thus could overcome the illusory potency of his worshipable object, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He himself meditated upon and heard this song, and also taught it to others. Having received the Lord's mercy, he enlightened other conditioned souls with transcendental intelligence, so that they could also follow in the footsteps of the devotees of the Lord. Religion actually means to become a pure devotee of the Supreme Lord in loving service. Those who are trying to enjoy the material world or merely renounce it to avoid personal inconvenience cannot actually understand love of Godhead, in which the only objective is the satisfaction of the Lord. Thus end the purports of the humble servants of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada to the 11th Canto, 23rd chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Song of the Avantī Brāhmaṇa.